Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's AMA. We have some interesting things to discuss with you. We have the usual participants on the call, myself, Herman, and then representing Seedling and Cherish, respectively, are Diego and Marvin. I'm going to jump straight into it and invite Herman to give us the core update as to what's going on with the main development thrust. And then I'll give you guys a bit of a business update as to what's going on from that side of things in the core project. Are you there, Herman?
I am. Thank you all. In case you're tuning in from Telegram, I'm going to now share with you a view of a MetaMask wallet connected with the EVM compatibility with Parachain. Okay, so this is very fresh. We are just able to do this earlier today, and it seems easy. The issue faced was a bit complex to describe here in this call, but in short, we're now closer than ever to get the EVM parachain released in the testnet. And I think within not much time, I don't believe there'd be a lot of testing required. In addition to what already has been done prior to deployment on testnet, of course, we will involve people to try and stress test it and break it. But I think within just a few weeks after testnet deployment, the Cherry Network mainnet will also be hosting its own mainnet EVM parachain. Now, the reason why I'm quite confident in the fact that we can deploy it sooner, first of all, sooner than anticipated, and sooner than the normal procedural Q&A would require, is twofold. One, I've been involved in its development, and though these final touches do seem substantial, the actual substantial part, the actual significant part of developing this EVM compatibility parachain has taken months, and it's been very thoroughly evaluated all throughout the development. And secondly, with the new layer 0 architecture, applications deployed as parachains can be introduced to production environments, can sustain a degree of vulnerability, let's call it that way, so imperfection, exactly because the system is compartmentalized. The layer 0 relay chain would exist regardless of any degree of corruption of any one parachain, and vice versa. Any one parachain delegates most of the more hairy, more significant computational tasks such as state management, consensus, to the relay chain, so that they just need to focus on the purpose of the parachain, and therefore any issue that arose within that environment would be contained within either that specific function or its use as a parachain in the most dire of circumstances. So in any case, it would not be a breaking issue. It would not affect the continuity of the Cherry network as a whole. And it can be helped. It can be recuperated easily with fair ease. So that's, again, to remark the use and value of this layer 0 architecture that we've adopted. I think that also sums up the core update. I have an update about Cherish. We will begin a degree of perhaps private evaluation shortly, where people can look at the interface and help us improve it. It's been long due, and while we're not confident yet that it's at the level that it's supposed to be for a wider release, let's say a functional release, it's good to have people look at it and get people's input to improve it aesthetically, at least, so that we can close the iteration circuit, make it much more rapid, given the remaining changes are mostly aesthetic rather than functional or systematic. And so we'll announce that soon. We'll probably enter as the Cherish team maybe the last cycle of improvements this week, perhaps today or tomorrow. Once that's done, we'll open up to perhaps a select public. We'll let the people in charge decide that, and involve the cherry community. And it's been a long time coming in its growth. I do have many updates. I think they're a bit fragmented, so they're not mature enough to be said in now. I also don't want to take too much time. I know people on this call have far more interesting thing to say. I want to underscore what I said in chat during these past few days about both the accepted lackings of Cherry. I'm sorry, there's this baby in the background. I apologize. As usual, I'm around going around preaching Cherry's mission and so forth, but so I hope you can bear with the baby around behind me. We do have values, and we do have certainly great talent within the team. And this tends to be skewed in one direction over another. We're far more able technicians, engineers, than we are communicators. That's accepted. And this doesn't mean that that's necessarily the direction that the project must take. It's right to demand to have a combination of both. And when one essential aspect of, let's say, a blockchain project, an open source project that requires community engagement lacks, it's perfectly right to demand for the team, for the project to compensate in that regard. So I just want to underscore that. And if my messages were read as out of exasperation, it's really not that at all. It's mostly an acceptance that we're all here because we share this mission, this sort of vision. The team has, been working often unrecognized, and so it's good to also state their commitment and their benevolence in regard of what they're doing. Often, again, they could be doing other things, more interesting things, perhaps. Certainly, things that would make them more money. Instead, they stick with us. And also, in addition to this, in addition to recognizing that the team has great value and there's great assets to it, that it stays open-minded in regards to, of course, what the community has to say on the direction of Cherry, but also understanding what it lacks. Again, not because we claim to know what direction is best, what to focus on most, but to have a complete understanding of what we have to bring to the project and what's missing and the extent to which these lackings matter to work together with our skills and let's say community suggestions, new hires, etc., to direct focus toward uh, this common goal, the achievement of this common goal. I've read one interesting question on the call. I think it matters. The question in short is Chase, so that there's this AI moment at the right now, chat GPT, chat, whatever it's called, OpenAI stuff, DALI before that. They're great expressions of scientific exercise. They aren't directly commercial now. They're rather a showcase of what's been achieved through really the last decade of AI innovation. And we're following that closely, albeit we're not experts at it. But we do realize that while at the moment it's just been either applied at this very broad level, let's say by companies like Google, where statistics actually do matter, these tiny optimizations that a machine would perceive, but humans wouldn't, or that statistics wouldn't capture wholly matter. Perhaps now this trend is shifting, and AI can actually be applied on more commercial, consumer ending, consumer-facing uses. And we're fascinated by this. We're working with a team that this is their bread and butter. They've helped Original Factory to do their thing. We have several different avenues we're exploring and pursuing actively as either businesses or open source projects. I think I mentioned some of these in the past, so I won't repeat myself. But it's certainly the case that the recent OpenAI, what OpenAI underscored recently, let's say that AI is good for certain things, to generate nice images and to create narratives that seem realistic and are coherent. These aren't just interesting, they're also commercial. And so as Cherry, as we've stated more than once, shifts over to value, shifts over to things that make the open source core mission sustainable, let's say to make money, to pay our developers, to continue pursuing the open source vision, etc., building this quite broad technology set that isn't immediately monetizable. You can't make money on it right now, especially in a bear market. So as we focus on value, certainly, if there's money to be made, if there's businesses we can apply AI to, having a degree of technical savvy, that's certainly something that Cherry should explore. Not just because it's the fat of the moment, but also because there are certain applications of Cherry into the AI, more specifically in the hypermedia storage, which is, again, the core object of Cherry. But that may have some very specific interactions with AI that are not quite defined yet, but are certainly worthwhile exploring. So that's my long-winded, not very specific answer to it, but it's certainly an item of focus with some overlap on with what Cherry does and offers, which is a trustless storage. Also, given the fact that Cherry being this sort of serious project that doesn't quite, try to make money by selling their token off to um, random people on the internet, convincing people to buy more, and that's it. Rather, we're trying to build value and make that value sustainable over time. Now that there are real commercial applications of AI, we're certainly exploring that. I think that's all. It took more than I wanted to. I'll leave you guys to the hands of Owen. Goodbye.
Thank you very much, Herman. That was very interesting, and very cool to see the technical progress made that you showed us very kindly. As I've said before, and as our community have seen at this point, now that we've been years into this project, there is constant and very constructive progress being booked by our devs as we move forward. All the pieces are starting to fit into place to make Cherry a very business ready and consumer ready and investor ready ecosystem, and that's great to see. For my part, I have some. I think there was another question though. I might be able to see. So Herman, no, there wasn't. There was just another couple of random questions about the bridge that we've talked about before. So yeah, I'm going to jump into my own update. Just bear with me a second while I get to the right part of the slides. I think the slides are visible actually to you guys, but I just need to see them myself. Hang on. Okay, here we go. So first and foremost, there was something I wanted to mention in terms of the way a lot of other chains, and including ourselves in that equation, the way people are looking to establish some value now that it is a bear market, is more on the side of collaboration, and to collaborate with and make strong partnerships with other chains, which is something that you see in the legacy tech world as a rule. But it's something that a lot of crypto initiatives are more reluctant to do, because they want to be an independent and trailblazing project in and of themselves. But given our experience, the experience of the management of Cherry, we know that strong partnerships are very important, and that if another project does a certain thing very well, that it's better for business and it's better for your clients and the people that you serve in the market to actually collaborate with those people, rather than just try and forge ahead and do everything on your own. To this end, we have been speaking over the past 2 weeks with some other major chains in terms of partnerships beyond the ones that we've announced already to you guys, which I won't go over again. And these partnerships, I'm hoping, will come to fruition over the next couple of weeks. We'll at least be able to discuss what they might involve and who they might be with. So that's quite promising, and it's something that people have been hoping for as well. We also have the partnerships with non-Web3 projects and companies, which Herman has kind of given some description of in the past. Again, projects in that sphere are somewhat more slow moving, but at the same time, these things are continuing pace behind the scenes in terms of discussions and negotiations for those announcements that will hopefully be forthcoming pretty soon. So that's quite exciting, and everything's been smooth sailing on that front. Anyway, I was hoping that by now we would have the next ecosystem project launched. There's been a couple of things that we just want to tighten up on that front before we unveil it to the public. But this might be something that in a couple of days will be where it needs to be to the point where we can show it to you guys and actually get it fully launch. So I'm hoping that will be in the next few days. We can get that out as well. In terms of Cherry Labs Consulting, we've done good things in terms of business development and refining our offering to the market and who we offer with, the kind of people that are collaborating with us in terms of offering a range of services to the market. We think we have something that's relatively unique, and where it's not so unique, we think that we can be certainly competitive, if not superior, to other offerings as they exist in the landscape at the moment. So that's quite promising as well. And to this end, we're also going to be releasing in the next few days a deck that can be shared. It'll probably be hosted on the site, and it'll be a generic deck. Of course, as anyone knows, when you're talking about service provision and consulting and advisory, etc., the pitch that you'll make to a company and a potential client is refined and tailored to what they need. But it's always useful to have some kind of public-facing generic pitch deck, so that people that we haven't perhaps made that much contact with before can still be able to have a look and see what we're able to offer before they actually make contact with us. It can be a way to drive more business, which, as I've explained before, is only good for the Cherry ecosystem, because it's good for us as a company to have this kind of regular cash flow coming in, and also, and more importantly, it serves a strategic purpose in allowing us to draw and attract more projects into the Cherry within the Cherry horizon, hopefully to interact with us on a chain level and from a business perspective in the future as well. So, long story short, I will be dropping into the chat a PDF slide deck for you guys to have a look over. You can also get an idea of what's going on with Cherry Labs Consulting as well. So it'll be interesting for the community from that perspective anyway. And it's something that hopefully will drive business, because this is something that you guys can share around to people, to projects big and small, if they might be interested in getting in touch with us, see what kind of collaborations we can establish. So that's pretty cool. And then the last thing I wanted to mention was that we're working away on the Cherry Labs University. We'll have a limited but interesting update to that forthcoming next week, I hope, as well. The last thing I wanted to mention was we're trying to automate the payments for the quiz winners. So that requires a bit of tinkering around with behind the scenes. I'm hoping that will be done pretty soon. So I think we've got three cohorts of winners that need to be paid by now, including the Christmas quiz winners. So if you have won any of those quizzes in the recent past, then we'll be in touch with you very shortly to get your prize over to you. And on top of that, I think the last couple of weeks haven't been announced, so I might as well announce those while we're waiting, including the winners of the quiz for today, which is forthcoming very soon in about 15 minutes, I'd say. But first, we're going to go to the ecosystem projects and the team members that are very graciously always here. I think we're going to go with Diego first, if he's there.
Yeah. Hello, guys. Hello, and congrats to the dev team at Cherry, as always, working on a more background note. But yeah, another Wednesday here with great news. Seems like the market could be bouncing up slightly. I'm not sure, though, that this will change the generic macro downturn we are having, and we could possibly see another drop back down. But yeah, I'll leave the speculation apart. That's just a quick comment from some people asking on the Spanish chat and on private messages. Going back to the real important stuff in Seedling, we have been focusing recently in internal networking. I can say the Seedling team will have a talk on Friday afternoon with a huge chain, and have also established contact with many other top 50 chains. As you all know, Seedling is the native launchpad of Cherry, but we are happy to also provide access to other promising projects in the space that are being built outside of our ecosystem. We recognize there is a lot of value and there is there are other big participants in the space. So yeah, we are getting in contact with investment teams or the equivalent to Cherry Labs in the different chains. I won't mention, but really amazed by the positive attitude of some of these chains to accept and get in calls and discuss. Even if they might see us as a smaller project, they do recognize and like the true unique features we do have, stuff like the real deflationary system through the burning mechanism. We have received good feedback. You'll know how everyone likes staking, and it's just cheap marketing initiatives, etc., but really does not benefit in the long term. And all of you that know some basic economics will agree that deflationary pressure plus a very small supply we do have at Seedling is always interesting for a launchpad and a project like us. The more recent Seedling promise also, which really makes us extremely competitive, obviously. So, you guys, I'd like to mention before I move on that this kind of discussions and progresses with this kind of ecosystems is a long and bureaucratic process. Might not be the best word actually, but yeah, you get the gist. So yeah, I'm personally very proud of the connections and the feedback received, as there are thousands of launchpads out there, but receiving very positive compliments. And even if we don't end up closing any kind of deals, it is amazing to see people that are really top professionals recognizing our offerings. Makes me personally very happy. Moving on to the project side, I know that some of you are actually ready to contribute and use Seedling tokens, use the utility with the new features introduced in the last 2 months. We are exploring a Binance Labs backed project and 2 projects building on the Aptos chain at the moment. We have actually another 5 projects to look at, but those 3 really catched our investment team's attention. And why not, if we do get a good agreement going, could potentially be the next promising projects. Another thing worth to mention is that we are looking at exploring different security added features to our launchpad to make your contributions even safer. We have established contact with a very innovative way of validating and kind of doing somehow KYC to the teams, to the project teams, to the team leads. We know that the basis of anonymity and pseudonymity have been pretty much an integral part of the crypto culture since Satoshi Nakamoto wrote Bitcoin's code, and we don't want to break that. There is thousands of top projects delivering huge value on the space with unknown leaders and not public leaders, and this might be a good way to keep their privacy and not having a public figure while still maybe verifying their background and being held legally accountable for what they're building for the sake of their investors and our community. And that is pretty much all, guys. Thank you for listening in.
Thanks, Diego. Very promising things happening with Seedling as always. So that's good to see. Now I will hand you over to Marvin. Herman already disclosed some details about Cherish, which are encouraging. And I think that Marvin has some more details to share as well. Are you there, Marvin?
Yes, certainly. And promising they are. We've come a long way with Cherish. Had to start from scratch on certain occasions, trying to upgrade our back end. And we had to make some sacrifice to ensure that we would have the best possible platform once we got to this stage. And now we are very excited. As Herman already said, our limited launch is limited. So we're going to be finally allowing some people in and starting to test some of the features of the platform, and then getting their feedback to aesthetically polish Cherish so that it would be best accessible for all, either novice social media users or practical users and the more experienced business related users. So that is something we are all looking forward to with excitement, and more information will be released shortly in the coming weeks. So yeah, Cherish launch on the horizon, and it's looking really good. Then we've released our second part with Javita's creator interview. You can check that out on Twitter or in the Cherish Telegram chat. Then secondly, or thirdly, we have our Cherish update number 7 on the way, giving you some more insights into what's going on and how creators will fare on Cherish as well as the users. And then finally, onboarding is going at pace. We are continuously working on this, making sure that as many people get into Cherish before the launch, giving these creators some extra push and support while we're at it, and steaming them ready for when the day comes that they can finally start posting on Cherish and integrating that into their creator and artist lifestyle. So that is about it for Cherish. Good things coming, and I'll leave it with Owen.
Thanks, Marv. That's fantastic. And as you said, things are ticking along very well in the background, under the hood for Cherish, and I'm looking forward to being able to share some of the progress with the community when a select few are able to essentially beta test the interface, etc., before it goes live. So that's great. I'm going to hand you over to John now to do the quiz in a moment. Just want to thank you all, as usual, for joining in, and thank you for all your interesting contributions and support and interactions over the past week. I shared some of the plans for the next few days with you in terms of what might be launched, released, and disclosed. It's going to be a busy week, and things are going to start picking up as well now that everyone's fully back from the holidays soon. Or as of now, yes, so soon it will continue to ramp up over the next few weeks. So that's great. That's pretty exciting. And I'm going to just pass you off to John now. He's got a nice quiz for you guys, and we'll be announcing some winners from this and previous quizzes within the next 24 hours or so. So thank you very much, guys, and have a nice week.